I love this mug, I use it all the time because it's got an A on it, but then you can't see, but on the inside at the bottom it says time for tea. Hey guys, it's Alice. So if you haven't seen my face before, welcome to my channel. This is going to be another university related video. If you haven't seen me before, I am going into my second year at the University of Brighton. I study psychology and I haven't written this down. I'm gonna film today my first year at Brighton, my first year at uni experience video. I would have loved to have planned this and written down what I wanted to say for loads of different things, but I don't know, I just didn't. So if this is a bit higgledy-piggledy, I apologise. Yeah, so this is just going to be how I found it, some information about my first year. But yeah, so without further ado, let's just go on into the video. Okay, so I'm just going to start off hopefully chronologically and then kind of go in. So I did not have a gap year, I just went straight to education. Due to other circumstances, I was just very ready to go to uni. I wanted to get there straight off and I was really excited and I was not bothered about being homesick at all. I did not think I'd get homesick. I was like, nah. I was really excited to be independent and, just not be at home and just be at uni. So I moved down on the 23rd of September 2017 and my dad helped me move down. I could not drive at this point, so dad had to drive down. I was in halls at Paddock Fields on the Falmer campus because that is the campus where all the social sciences happen. That's where I'm based when I do psychology. I managed to get my first choice accommodation, which was Paddock Fields ensuite, self-catered. So I was very happy with that. I think it was about £135 a week in the rent with bills all included, and that was a 39-week contract. I managed to find loads of my flatmates. I managed to find all of them actually right before the last day on like the Facebook house hunting group chats. I was really excited because the girls seemed really lovely, didn't really know about the boys, half of them hadn't really replied. A bit nervous, but as some of you may or may not know, 3 years ago before A-levels I moved to Bristol from growing up in a really sleepy village, and so I'd already done a move to a big city with just my family around me, so I was very ready to do a move to another city just by myself. First off the bat, housing was fine, great. I got a room tour. I got my first choice accommodation, didn't have any troubles finding accommodation. I know some people who did, some people who didn't get any of their choices in halls and had to go find a house. I was very lucky to get my first choice, and I was very lucky enough so that my family is sorting out my accommodation, so I didn't have to worry about what type of loan I was getting because that would all be covered for me. So housing was not an issue for me. It was an ensuite. Aesthetic wise, the carpet was a disgusting colour and so were the curtains. But apart from that, single bed with desk, wardrobe, ensuite, it was great for me. I was very happy there, enjoyed it a lot. I was right outside the kitchen, so when people had prees, that was a little bit annoying. We'll talk about freshers. I loved freshers. As some of you may know me, I'm a bit of a nerd. I love reading. As of now, I've read 50 books this year. I don't go out all the time. I enjoy drinking. I enjoy going out with mates. My freshers went on for 2 weeks. In each week, I think I missed 2 nights. One because there wasn't an event on, and the other one because it was something I wasn't interested in. So apart from that, I went out 5 times each week, so 10 times during the freshers. It was great, loved it. It was a really good way to get to know my flatmates and stuff. I bought the freshers wristband. I think it was about 65 quid. It was very expensive and you had to be there before a certain time, but it was great for me because all my flatmates, we checked on the group chat, we all bought the wristband, so if we had to be in town at a certain time we would all go maybe for prees at Spoons, or we'd all be ready by that time and get the bus in together. I didn't discover the train until a few months in, and it was great, loved it. I didn't have any experience with anyone spiking my drink or anything like that. I know some people did, but I was very fine with that. I've had no bad experiences really in any of the clubs, apart from some creepy people, but just make sure your mates know that you're not interested and they'll just like swing you away and just tell the other person to bleep off, so that wasn't an issue. I didn't really get freshers flu, but I was well stocked up on paracetamol, Nurofen, Lemsip, all of that stuff. So yeah, so freshers was a really great experience for me. I got to know my flatmates, which was kind of the main thing for me, and during the welcome week I was that nerd that went to all of the things I had to, the library inductions, all of that, then like people didn't need to go to but I went to anyway. So yeah, I did that, and then there's not really much for me to talk about during freshers because I really didn't struggle that much. Lucky for me, most of my flatmates are really similar to me in the fact that we just drink, that is it. If you're picking up what I'm putting down. Didn't have to deal with any of that. There were 2 people in my flat who liked to do a bit of something extra, but lucky for me, after Christmas, before Easter, they both moved out. So one of them moved literally across the way just to go live with his mates, and another one moved closer to his campus. So that was great for us. didn't have to deal with the smell of anything anymore. I honestly had no issues during freshers. I was kind of fine with money because I'd saved up a little bit. Now moving on to my actual course. So I could do an in-depth video on this if anyone wants it, but I think I'm going to cover most of the things now. Okay, so my course was Applied Psychology, just that, it's just a 3-year course. I have between 9 to 12, I think, contact hours. I was in 3 days a week, I think in the first teaching semester, which ran from October until the end of January, beginning of February. I was in Monday, Thursday and Friday. And in the first semester I had Introduction to Applied Psychology, Psychology and Society and Contemporary Social Inequalities, and for each of those I would have a 2-hour lecture and a 1-hour seminar. There was no way of taking attendance in the lectures, so if you didn't go, you didn't go, and obviously the PowerPoint slides were all online beforehand. But what I would do is I would do the key readings for that week, print out the PowerPoint slides, put them all in a folder and go to the lectures, because I thought I was only in 3 days a week, you know, I might as well go. I was on campus, so it made it so easy for me. It was great, you know, I took my laptop to everything, I made notes on my laptop. And then in the second teaching semester, I had Developmental Psychology, Psychology of Wellbeing and Introduction to Psychological Research Methods. So again, those were a 2-hour lecture and a 1-hour seminar, and then with Introduction to Psychological Research Methods, there was also a 1-hour workshop attached to that. And that was all the modules that I took for first year. We did have an option module and I took the Psychology of Wellbeing. Originally I was going to take the Criminology module, which was Theories of Crime, but I, after the first semester, had a bit of a realisation that clinical psychology might be the route I wanted to go down, so wellbeing would fit that more than crime. As of next year, I think they're cutting that out, so you have to do Psychology of Wellbeing anyway if you're taking the psychology degree. In terms of the lectures, I didn't find them that difficult. Obviously it's quite difficult to stay awake during lectures, not because they're not interesting, but just being in a room, sometimes with no windows, with someone talking at you for 2 hours was very draining. Lucky for me, they would always have a break halfway through if it was a 2-hour lecture, and so I did not find it taxing. Yeah, sometimes you'd be tired, but I was in 3 days a week for 3 hours on each day. It really wasn't that difficult. And in terms of the exams at the end, I've actually got some vlogs of me doing the exams. I've got one from the end of the first semester and one from the end of the second. I'm saying semester, by the way, which sounds really American, but that is what they call them at Brighton. You have terms, but also teaching semesters, so in case that's confusing to anyone. I'm not going to go into depth because that'll take a while, but I had some online multiple choice exams that I could do from home. I had essays to write. Mine was all basically coursework. Any of the in-person exams I had were multiple choice, so my first year really wasn't that taxing, and my first year doesn't count towards the degree. Obviously you have to pass to get into second year. Overall, like module wise, I wasn't stressed, you know. I would do the key readings each week. That was fine, it did not take much time. So going on from this, my uni course does not take up much time in my life. And so at first I really enjoyed that. I was like, yes, sweet, I can wake up at like 10 every day, not bother about anything, just chill, watch Netflix, which is great until like beginning of December, when I was a little bit like, okay. I would wake up not knowing what I was doing that day, and I think there's a difference between having like a planned lazy day to just waking up every single day with no purpose. As stupid as that sounds, I know my purpose there is to get a degree, but when your degree is only 3 hours each day for 3 days a week, I felt a little bit lost. I was like, I'm waking up not feeling like I'm getting anything done in this day. So I began to read books a lot more, and in December I joined the gym, or end of November, beginning of December, because at Brighton, as I've mentioned before, the Farmer Gym, if you're on halls, you get an off-peak membership for free. Didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of just wing it, watched a few Gymshark girls. I've got a whole video on my fitness journey, which I will link again. Long story short, I started powerlifting in February. If you want to know what that is, watch the video. But that was something I did to take up my time. By that point, I was already going to the gym 5 times a week, and it's officially becoming a society next year. So any of you people coming to University of Brighton, if you want to join the Powerlifting Society, I don't know whether I'll be at the Freshers Fair, but I'm sure someone someone will be. So Christmas came round, everything was fine, wasn't homesick. February is when things all kind of went a bit up in the air for me, so I'll speed over it. But the beginning of February, I had my friend Sophie come to visit. There is a vlog of that. The week after, I had my sister come to visit, and some things happened during that week that made me kind of realise that, okay, like, I'm actually really struggling with friends right now. I didn't really have that many friends at uni that I felt like I could talk to. I had some course friends, and obviously I had my flatmates, but I didn't feel really close to any of them. You know, close in the way that you feel like you can just text someone and be like, oh, I'm, you know, having a bad day, want to come over and watch a movie. I didn't have like anyone I felt like I could talk to, and if anything deep happened in my life, I definitely did not have anyone that I felt like I could confide in, which is a really big issue for me because, you know, I was the only one in my flat trying to do a long distance relationship. I don't go out as much as some of my other flatmates do, so that became a bit of a thing. I just felt really lonely, and to make myself forget that I was lonely, I filled my time with things. So that's when the powerlifting came in, and also I would really recommend watching that vlog with my friend Sophie because I had a bit of what I like to call my religious epiphany, where my friend Henry basically sent me a message about something that he would have had no way of finding out how I was feeling in that moment. 5 minutes after Sophie left to get on a train, I got a message from him when he was in Bangladesh, basically saying that he was praying for me and he knew that I was feeling like shit, and things had happened that had made me basically really start feeling lonely and feeling low, and that was a bit of a kick in the bum for me because I was like, okay, right, like, I want to start going back to church. Went to church when I didn't know anyone, and that was one of the most incredible things that I've ever done because now I have so many friends at church. It was such a massive thing for me because my Sunday would be filled and Tuesday evening would be filled because that's when students group is at St. Peter's Church Brighton, which is the church I go to. If you're interested in going, please come. The last few months of uni, you know, February, March, April, May, were really difficult for me. I really struggled because, you know, if I just started doing stuff at the gym properly and powerlifting, just started going to church, again I had those like surface level friends but no one I really felt like I could actually properly talk to. So that kind of carried on for a bit, and it was really when I came home to surprise my mum for Mother's Day. I hate doing this. Again, there is another video of that so you can watch it. It was the day I was leaving to come back to Brighton, and I was sat on my bed, just sat there and thought, do you know what, I really don't want to go back. I really don't want to go back. I just felt so lonely. All I wanted to do was be holed up in my room all day. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to do my readings for uni. I didn't want to do anything. I was like, I'm really struggling, you know, I'm really missing my friends, and it was hard enough for me. As I said, I moved to Bristol 3 years ago, so my like best friends don't even live in Bristol, so even when I'm home I'm not with my best friends. So, you know, I've got some friends in Bristol, I've got friends where I used to live, I've got some friends in Brighton, but I just felt so lonely. So that was really difficult for me. And then the week after, it was my birthday, and I was without my twin sister Grace for the first time in our lives, which was harder than I thought because we have our differences, like, bruh, if you know us, we have our differences. But it was so hard not being with her because me and Grace argue every single day. We have different views on life, we don't get on as much as we should, but there will be no one that has my back more than Grace ever in my life. Like, she will be solid in my life, you know, even if she doesn't agree with my life choices. If I have a problem, I know that she will be there. I know that I can count on her. Even not having Grace, I was like, oh god, you know, if I'm missing Grace, I really must be struggling. No, I'm kidding, Grace, I love you. I was really struggling, so, because obviously I was trying to make friends at church, but I'd only been going for a few weeks, so I didn't quite know anyone. So no, I will say being lonely is something I massively struggled with because obviously everyone says, you know, your flatmates aren't going to be your best mates, but I did get really lucky with my flatmates because they are great people to live with. Like, they're absolutely great people to live with, and they are lovely people. Like, none of my flatmates are horrible people, which I'm so grateful for. Like, I'm living with the same people next year, like, that's gotta mean something, you know. They weren't my best friends, we're good friends. I didn't feel like I had that best friend there, you know. And it's obviously the way it always is. It was only until like the last month of uni that I actually started kind of feeling like I had friends at church and started being less lonely. But it was one of those things where, so if I had to rate my whole year, sorry, that's my feet. If I had to rate my whole year out of 10, I would give it a 7. It wasn't awful. So many people had it worse than me, like in terms of loneliness wise and just feeling like kind of they don't, not fit in, but it could have been better, you know. I made a massive effort. I got way out of my comfort zone. It was a massive thing for me. Could have been worse, could have been better. Overall, like, course wise, great. Oh, I don't know if I said, I got a 2-1 overall in my whole year. I got a 68. A first is 70 and a 2-1 is 60. So I got a high 2-1, which I'm really happy about, over the moon. If I can carry on and get a 2-1 when I graduate, that would be ideal, absolutely incredible. I'd be so happy with that. First year was very difficult for me because I didn't get homesick until April, but also like I do have, you know, issues in Bristol as well as my issues in Brighton. So in both places there are problems for me that I've got to deal with, but I am very, very excited to go back to second year. I think I've sat myself down and been like, there's no point looking at first year with a negative attitude, because sometimes I'd cry myself to sleep. I was really low. I felt so lonely, you know, whenever my boyfriend wasn't available to talk or my parents were out doing stuff, and I didn't FaceTime my parents all the time just because that's not something I really do. But I would talk to them, I would like FaceTime them occasionally and stuff, but I never really felt like I had that mate to message and be like, oh, you know, I'm feeling a little bit down, or you just want to meet up for coffee. In my uni halls there wasn't really enough space for someone to like stay over or anything like that, so people wouldn't just casually come round and stay over. But the end of the year finished, I did my powerlifting competition, moved out, came back to Bristol. One thing everyone would say to me when I would say how lonely I was, it's like, oh, you know, don't quit uni. I'm not going to quit uni. I don't want to offend anyone when I say this, because that's the thing, some people have it so much worse than me. If I was absolutely that miserable, I would have left. I believe, for myself at least anyway, I don't see the point in me getting to all this debt with uni, student loan wise, and not seeing it through. I know some people end up, you know, hating their course, hating the area, hating the people, and just can't do it, which I completely understand and I really sympathise for that, but I can be quite stubborn when I want to, and I want this degree. I want this degree to go where I want to go in life. Yeah, you know, I might not always get on with some of the people around me in Brighton, but excuse my language, tough tits. I've got to get on with it. I've got to find, that's why I found things to do to fill my time, so I didn't think about as much the issues I was feeling. And also I went to a churchy festival thing called Focus, which is run by the Holy Trinity Brompton network of churches, and I went with my church and I really didn't want to go, but when it was all laid out in front of me I had no reasons to go. I know this is not about uni, but I'll get back to it, you'll understand the point in a minute. I went working on youth teams, so my ticket was free, I got food vouchers, I found someone to share a tent with that I was friends with before but didn't really know very well. Matt was away, so it wasn't like I was missing spending time with him. My parents were going to be away. Basically I went to that, I had the absolute best week, and it's made me so ready for second year because I now feel like I have got friends that I can go to in Brighton. I think the way I described my friendships in Brighton was like, we were friends, we would talk when we were at church, when we were at the gym, or when we're on our course, but I wouldn't message anyone to hang out separately because I felt like I was annoying them. Whereas now, after this year, I know that as soon as I move into Brighton, the girl I shared a tent with, Lily, she's a nursing student, so she's there all the way till February. As soon as I move in, I'm gonna message her and be like, come over for a cup of tea, I've just moved in. But one of the other girls at church, Amber, we're planning on having like a parent trap and pizza date. I'm so ready to make an absolute effort this year with building friendships. My course mates, we only started really getting closer again in the second teaching semester. I feel like I can actually invite people over and build those friendships and get them deeper. And also now I'm in a house, I feel like it'll be so much easier because I have a living room. My bedroom is massive, it's great, it's sick. I'm so excited for second year. So yeah, overall first year I would give a 7 out of 10. Freshers was fine. I had no like awful experience, nothing absolutely dire happened. Like I did feel low, but I'm quite good at recognising that, but then also kind of going outside of it and being like, some people have it massively worse than you. You can get through this. You can find things to fill your time. You know, you're a good person. Just because some people don't get on with you doesn't mean you're a shit person. You can't force people to be your mates if they don't want to. You just don't click. At first I took it massively personally. Just because you're not best friends with someone doesn't mean either of you are awful people, and you can still get on, you can still be mates, like it's fine. Overall, very, very ready to go into second year because I'm a massive believer in the fact that I think relationships are so important. Who you surround yourself with, who you build into your life is part of who you are. It makes you who you are. And I'm so excited to feel that I now have that in Brighton, whereas in the first year I didn't quite get there. But yeah, that was really rambly and I feel like this video is literally 40 minutes long. I don't know what else I can say about my first year experience. I've already done a video on, I've got the room tour I mentioned, I've got a video about my fitness journey, I've got a video about everything to know in Brighton. So if you want to know, if you're coming to Brighton and you want to know where you can do your shopping, what the transport is like, all of that stuff, I've got a video on that. If you have any other videos that you want, you feel like I've missed anything out, but obviously this is just me talking about my experience, how I felt. So that's how I've taken it. This is my experience the first year and how it made me feel. I won't be quitting uni anytime soon. It was great, it was fine. I'm repeating the same things over again, like 7 out of 10, other people had it worse. It's true. Other people do have it worse, and it is difficult adjusting from A-levels to uni, from living with your parents to not, to having nutritious meals with vegetables every night and not. But it's just something that you learn to do, and I think I'm very excited to move into a house next year. We'll see. Hopefully I'll do another one of these videos after that year and update you on anything. Nightlife is great at Brighton, incredible, but again I talked about that in other videos. This was a massive ramble. I didn't write anything down, which I probably should have, but if I've offended you from anything, I'm really sorry. I just want people to know, even if you go to uni really excited for it and then 6 months later you're like, shit, what have I done? It is okay. You are not the only one that's felt like that. If you feel like during the first few months you've got really good friends and then all of a sudden you feel like you don't, that is fine. Again, like, it is a life learning curve because not everyone is going to get on with you, and that is okay. It does not mean you're bad people. If I've been very vague about anything you would like to know, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. Video ideas, anything, hit me up with those. But yes, that is all for me for today. Again, I know it's very higgledy-piggledy, I'm sorry. It is just a very unreliable narrator, biased account of my first year because it's mine. Hope you've all had an amazing day. I am going to love you and leave you, and I will see you hopefully next Monday with another video. Bye!